Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now, obviously we've seen a pretty wide pullback throughout all of the crypto space over the past several weeks. And so, obviously there have been some people who are a little bit disappointed or frustrated with the price action that we've seen recently. However, I personally am looking at this as kind of a pretty nice opportunity to potentially dollar cost average into some other projects that I've been looking to get further into, always just consistently buy more of, things like that. As we talk about a lot on the channel, I'm a big proponent of being patient when we're seeing projects really move up very quickly and waiting for points of maximum opportunity rather than points of maximum risk. And so I want to talk a little bit about that today. I have 5 coins in particular that I'm looking at potentially dollar cost averaging into, maybe buying a little bit more of, maybe ones that I haven't even started a position into yet, but I am wanting to open a position because of the pullback that we are seeing in the overall market lately. So anyway, let's go on ahead and dive right in. Starting out, we will take a quick look at the crypto bubbles today. We can see a pretty nice bounce in the market overall. We have seen probably the lows of this at least most recent dip coming in. But again, as we've seen over the past several weeks, things get crazy, and we could potentially be seeing lower dips from here. But again, we won't speculate on that today. I am just going to be looking at again the 5 top projects that I'm looking to potentially be buying more into. And again, since we are seeing a pretty nice bounce in the market, maybe the best buying opportunities could potentially be gone. I'm again not always looking to buy on green candles just because you want to buy low and sell high. But what we can see is, we've started to see at least some level of stability come into the market. Things are looking to kind of fall out of the little bit of free fall that we could have been seeing. If we do just take a super quick look into Bitcoin, we can see, we've seen a nice little bounce. If we move this out to hours, we can see there was a point of, pretty consistent and sustained sell-off. We've now kind of seen a little bit of that bounce here. There was a nice little rally here. And then, we've seen a little bit of some stabilization up at this level. So, I think we're starting to see some stabilization coming on here, but overall, we are in a position, where we've pulled a little bit off of all-time highs being well up over here. If we're just looking at Bitcoin specifically, we're even looking off, kind of recent highs, but we have seemed to have potentially found a bottom. Potentially we could have been buying down in this range. We have moved up a little bit from there, and it's possible that we see, potentially a further move down to the downside. I do think it is possible, so just be very, very careful when you are doing that. This is not necessarily please don't take this as a buy signal. This is more of me just talking about 5 projects that I really like, that we've seen pretty sustained moves on the downside from over the past week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even months so far. So I want to talk about each of these. Again, anything here, I'm not going to be, I'm staying into pretty large projects that I have my eye on. I do have a bunch of smaller projects that I'm keeping my eye on as well. As I've mentioned several times on the channel, I do like to invest into some of the smaller micro caps. I don't know exactly how I feel about sharing those on the channel, just because since they are so small, I don't want to be artificially pumping or, moving any of these coins, just because I do know that the people can get pretty sensitive to that. So, maybe if you guys are interested, I might think about doing it. But again, you have to be very aware of the fact that they can be somewhat artificially moved when people are seeing that I'm talking about stuff and things like that. So just be careful about that. But at least for now, these are all large enough coins that me talking about them on my channel is not really going to have any sort of impact on them at all. We'll start at the top and move down. Bitcoin is one that, you guys, some of you on the channel may be like, oh, well, this is the most obvious pick in the world. I never said these were not obvious picks, right? I mean, this is one that I think Bitcoin, in my opinion, kind of everything begins and ends at Bitcoin. So I'm always looking to pick up more Bitcoin where I can. And so for me, the thing that I'm looking for here is essentially just to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. If we look over the course of the past 3 months, what we can see is, obviously we saw a really, really strong move to the upside. We capped off here up at about 108,000. And then we've seen some pretty sustained moves down into the low 90s. We can see, here at this drop, I don't know if I'll be able to find the very bottom, but we hit about 92-ish thousand here, about 92-ish thousand here, coming down to about 91 down here if I can find a bottom. Yeah, see 91 here. We could also down to 91 here recently as well. So things looking pretty good. We've pulled back on a lot of these. If you are looking to buy some obviously not majorly discounted Bitcoin, but some moderately discounted Bitcoin, when we see these dips, this is a pretty good way to do that. What we can also see if we look at the candles, we can see we've had a pretty decent level of support here at this like low 90s range. And so the fact that we are seeing a pretty strong support at the low 90s range makes me feel somewhat good, whenever we see Bitcoin prices return to this level, because it's another great opportunity to scoop up some discounted Bitcoin that we're, potentially looking to be buying anyway. So, if you can buy Bitcoin at 91 instead of 108, why not, right? And so that's kind of my first pick. Second one is Solana. Solana, I know, is pretty polarizing kind of throughout the entire crypto community. Some people think it's fantastic. Some people think it's a scam. Some will be right, some will be wrong. Who knows? There's no way to know for sure exactly what's going to happen. But what we can see pretty clearly here is we saw a really, really nice move to the upside in November when everything just kind of went parabolic. And now we've seen some pretty dramatic pulls back to the downside, getting as low as like 175, 180, something like that. We've seen some pretty nice moves back to the upside, and then again, moves back down. So whenever we are sitting kind of in like, I would call this like accumulation zone between like 175 to like 180, I would say it's a pretty nice time to buy. We have since recently pulled out of that. If we look even just at a shorter time frame, we did get down into like the 185 range, but we've now pulled back up into 190. Still not a bad area. But I think, kind of at this point, anything between like 175, 180, really, really good buys here. Potentially we could go lower, but this is at least a level which I'm happy with. Again, when we're looking within the past 3 months, seeing prices of over $260, potentially cycle highs of $400 to $500, maybe even $600. Anything below 200, I'm pretty pleased with. Again, none of this is financial advice. You need to make your own decisions. But a lot of this is like, people were paying $108,000 for Bitcoin just over a month ago. People were paying $260 for Solana just over a month ago. So there's a lot of, when people were willing to pay those prices at that point, these are all, really nice discounts if you believe in what each of these coins are doing long term. Next one is Internet Computer. I've gone in pretty heavy into Internet Computer over the past several months. Things looking really, really good. We actually did see prices get up to, the 15s-ish. Roughly, we've come down again to about the 10s. We saw a recent pump up into about the 12s, but have come back down. What we can see, similar to what we've seen out of Solana, we've seen a pretty important level of like accumulation around like the $10 range. You can see the lows getting just below 10, mostly kind of hovering above the $10 range. Right now we're at about 10.5. So I think, again, a very, very strong accumulation zone here at about that $10 range. So this is usually what happens when we start to see these massive pumps out of coins in the bull market, is we see some level of like accumulation zone. We could see on Solana, it's between about 175 to 180. We can see on ICP, it's about $10. We can see on Bitcoin, at least so far, it's low 90s, about 91, 92,000. These all, they return to these points very frequently. They get bid up very, very quickly at these points. So, we can see that there's a very strong level of like of an accumulation zone at this level. Same type of thing. Well, I guess a little bit different now is talking about virtuals. We can see recently virtuals has done basically just been up only. We can see that we have seen a pretty decent pullback here from just over $5 down to about $3. So about a 40% dip, which is a pretty strong pullback, particularly in crypto. But again, if we look at the chart, still, well above what we would have seen even in like, early December. We were seeing prices about $1.50. So, we're still 2x what that is. Things looking really, really good. This is a very healthy chart overall. I know some people are a little bit upset that we're seeing, lows down in the 3s, pulling back from where we were in the 5s. But again, if you look at any chart that's performed consistently well, let's talk about, Solana at the beginning of 2024. Let's talk about SUI kind of from like August till November. This is what you see, right? Consistent higher highs and higher lows, basically always. So, I think there's potentially a lot left for us to see out of virtuals. But so far, holding, seeing a pretty decent pullback. If you were bullish on virtuals, this is one of those where we might be seeing a higher point of opportunity. Again, even, buying here, it's about the same price as what we're seeing right now, but this is on like essentially like an up only type of streak. So the reward is definitely looking a little bit lower than the risk here, because we're essentially buying kind of on an uptrend. Now that we've seen things retrace a little bit, potentially have found a bottom, things looking, potentially like a better spot to buy. Again, as I've said before, none of this is financial advice. These are just some coins that I'm looking at. And then the next one that I'm looking at here as well also is Jasmy. We have seen Jasmy make a really, really nice run to the upside, topping almost 6 cents, not quite getting there, but we got very, very close. And now we've seen again, a really nice pullback. We're seeing this demand zone here at about 3.2 to 3 cents ish, roughly. You can see 3.197 cents right now. So again, very, very similar type of thing. We're seeing an accumulation zone. The price keeps coming back to and gets bid up very, very well, and then it kind of moves back up. So we could potentially be seeing the crypto market kind of sitting in this like range bound type of trading situation. And if that's the case, not necessarily a bad thing, but what we do need to do is, recognize that and make sure that we're trading efficiently and not, buying the pumps and selling the dips, like some people do all too often, which is unfortunate. But I think looking at the chart, we can see a lot of the same types of formats showing up in the crypto space, right? I mean, we're seeing accumulation zones, very, very clear accumulation zones in a lot of these different crypto coins. So just make sure that you're just reading the chart and following that, right? I mean, it's not super complicated stuff that we're working with here. It's just you have to make sure that you have the discipline. Don't be buying the pumps because you were too afraid to get in on the last dip or things like that. That's consistently and typically a losing strategy. Also, if you are looking for a new place to trade, we do have that BTCC deal still going. So you got 10% bonus on your first time deposits if that is something you're interested in. They've been around for 13 years, so definitely not like a here today, gone tomorrow type of risk. Also 300 plus crypto futures. So if there's something you want to trade, they probably have it. And then up to 500x leverage. Again, I'd strongly discourage using leverage that high. But if you have some sort of strategy that potentially works that I don't know about, they do have that available for you. Also no VPN or KYC necessary if that's something that's important to you. So again, really, really great trading option there if you are looking for a place to trade. They also do have like the demo trading and all of that if you are trying to learn as well. So again, another really, really good option there. Please do let me know what you thought about this video. These kind of like top coins that I'm looking at, I have noticed that I've gotten a lot more people kind of asking me about what my thoughts are of, what things I'm looking at. Have I been buying anything? Have I been selling anything? All that type of stuff. And so I might start making these types of videos more if you guys find them interesting and useful and like kind of what I'm looking at, how I'm looking at it, a lot of that type of stuff. Some of the things that we are seeing recently, like with these demand zones, I don't really see people talking about them too much lately. And so, hopefully they're helpful and useful information as well. So like I said, if you did appreciate them, please do give me a like and a subscribe because it really, really does help me out. Also lets me know that you want to see more of them, which again, that's I try to make what you guys want to watch in addition to the things that I'm finding interesting and various developments and whatnot within the crypto ecosystem as well. So anyway, like I said, if you have any comments, questions, anything like that, also just feel free to drop those in the comment section below. I do try to read and respond to all of those. So if you have anything that you want me to see, that'd be a great way to do it. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.